What's up, YouTube? We're back with another banger from Baron Coleman, man. Google Trends. This is part number 3. Thanks to you, Baron, for what y'all do. Y'all like, subscribe to the channel, and this is for entertainment purposes only. Let's get straight to the video.
Broadcaster for many years, very comfortable behind a microphone. Client of mine actually tell me this week, he said, "You miss radio?" I said, "Yeah, I do. I miss it. I miss it dearly. I mean, absolutely dearly." So we got a lot to cover tonight. I want to jump right into it. I know we got a lot of people waiting, and I don't want to leave people hanging. I'm not a cliffhanger type person. I get right into the meat of it. But if you haven't been following for the past few weeks, I've used this space to dive into the Google Trends tool primarily. Looked at some video evidence and other stuff, but primarily looked into the Google Trends tool. It's something I've been doing for a long time, and I've realized the last few weeks most people don't know much about it. But the results were, relative to Charlie Kirk, the results were, to put it mildly, concerning. Some say the results were disturbing or even shocking. And so, and each time I do the show, I set out to tackle particular issues. I want to accomplish specific items, and tonight is no difference. Tonight, I want to, number one, I want to explore, right out of the gate, I'm not going to leave you hanging until the end of the show, some very additionally shocking searches that took place before Charlie Kirk passed away on September 10th. And part of that will include a brief look at a story for a story many might struggle to find a connection to what happened to Kirk. But all we can do is run down every lead and bring to the surface as many leads as possible. That's what we're trying to do here. Not everything is going to turn out to be connected. But if we ignore everything, where there might be a connection, or where the connection is immediately self-evident, we're going to miss a lot. And I don't want to miss anything. And for something as important as what happened to Charlie Kirk in broad daylight, remember what happened in broad daylight just 4 weeks ago, we don't want to risk missing it. So that's number one. Now, the second thing I want to accomplish is I want to answer a common question I've gotten in the last few weeks. Since I started doing this series about a month ago, the number one question I get is, can you use these Google Trend tools to identify guilty parties? Can you identify guilty parties using the Google Trends analysis? And I think my answer may surprise some of you, based on what I've seen on social media, the analysis of my analysis. My goal in doing this series has never been to assign guilt or to cast aspersion. My goal has been to use technology to think outside the box. I want to expand the scope of leads. I want to bring new ideas to traditional police work. I want to perhaps give ideas to his defense team, and I want to keep pressuring the investigation into Charlie Kirk's homicide to be rigorous and thorough. That's what I want to do. That's what I'm trying to get out of this. I'm not trying to point to something and say, look, those people are guilty. Sometimes it looks very guilty, let's all be honest. But that's not what I'm trying to accomplish. But am I going to take tonight to release all of these additional names that I've been given and tips? I mean, I've gotten so many additional names, and I've run down a lot of them. And frankly, there are Google Trends searches consistent with what we found today. Like, take example last 2 weeks ago, I guess. I mean, last week I was out of town. But 2 weeks ago, I identified a number of hospital employees, surgeons from surgical groups who have hospital privileges at Timpanogos Regional. And it's old shoe leather, the way I was able to identify them. I saw where one pretty famous podcaster said, hey, I don't know how he found these names. Well, I do. I'm pretty damn good at what I do. And I dig around and I ask a lot of questions and I use the resources available to me to find out who works where. And I found out that there were, I think, 7 or 8 surgeons with surgical privileges at Timpanogos Regional Hospital who were searched, who these Google Trends searches showed were searched overseas just 2 months before. And in a really tight window. This is a very tight window that I wrote down. It's like the July 14th to 28th window. There's a lot tonight we're going to talk about in that window. One thing in particular we're going to talk about in that window. But I've received a lot of tips. I've received a lot of additional hospital employees and names and people. And I may go over some of them. I'm not going to sit here and go over all of them, though, because it's not consistent with what I'm trying to accomplish. I've given enough on that issue. It's not necessary. The FBI, the Utah police, they either will or will not follow up on what we covered last week, or 2 weeks ago, related to the names of the surgeons from Timpanogos Regional, who were searched by an IP address originating in the Middle East. You know, I operate under the assumption that the hospital, Timpanogos Regional, and the physicians who work there are, for the most part, pillars of the community. Most doctors are, no matter where they work. They're heroes, most of them. So having your name go up on a Google search, that's not evidence you've done anything wrong. It's not evidence you're in some gigantic plot to take out a political figure. What it does mean is somewhere, someone wanted to know a lot more about you. And it's my firm belief that the FBI and the Utah police should be wondering who those people are who want to know so much about surgeons in tiny Orem, Utah. And that concern extends to administrators and other professionals at the hospital. There are a lot of them were searched. I'm not going over all of them. I might go over some of them. We'll see how tonight goes. But someone was taking a very intense interest in that particular hospital for a few weeks in the middle of July. And if law enforcement refuses at this point to look into it, we have a much bigger problem than we believed we had going into September 10th, 2025. Or even immediately following Charlie Kirk's death on September 10th, 2025. And finally, I want to look at what causes people to willingly become patsies. And I'm raising that for a particular reason. I've gotten some information about this case. I know I've talked to people. And there are people who, for whatever reason, willingly become patsies. Patsies even to the point of arrest, conviction, sentencing. And I have no doubt in my mind, the alleged shooter in this case, Tyler Robinson, is a patsy. That's my firm belief. As with everything I believe in life, I'm subject to changing my mind at a moment's notice in the face of new evidence. But absent new evidence, only on the evidence I've seen today, he's a patsy. That's the way I look at it. I think the evidence at this point is pretty clear to me that he's a patsy. I think the idea that Tyler Robinson planned and executed this entire event from beginning to end is absolutely laughable. It's not possible. It makes absolutely zero sense. But, and I want you to lean in close here when I say this, because we are left with one very chilling fact. And it's terrifying. Tyler Robinson will lose his case and spend his life in prison, or worse. Worse is on the table, if he does not mount an aggressive defense. He'll lose. Nothing said on this channel, nothing said on any other YouTube channel, any other social media outlet, no X post, no Twitter feed, no unroll thread, nothing. None of it will affect the outcome. If Tyler doesn't mount a very robust defense, he will be convicted. He'll go to prison. He might be put to death. Those are probable or even likely outcomes if he presents a weak or non-existent defense. And so tonight, for answers on why someone who knows they're innocent of a particular charge might accept that kind of a guaranteed outcome, I want to look at a recent case in the United Kingdom and how that case recently concluded. And there are others like it, many others. And I think many others, including inexplicable horrors and tragedies that make the news here in the United States. And I want to say one more thing, and then I'll get into the evidence. One more thing in the little opening here. Before we dive into the evidence, I want to make a correction. Because 2 weeks ago, I mistakenly said Schaefer Security Group was Charlie Kirk's hired security for the event in Utah. I now know that is incorrect. I do want to go on the record that I said it in good faith. It was in response to news outlets and reports and social media reports that were articulating this fact. They also were wrong, and I relied on those to my detriment. Schaefer Security Group has since released a statement. They've clarified they did not work for Charlie Kirk on that day and had not worked for him in years. They identified a Rock House Integrity Group as the security group on the ground that day. And the two requests I've gotten from most people in the last 2 weeks since they made that statement, Schaefer Security Group made that statement, the two requests I've gotten most from people to search or to research are Rock House Integrity Group and a little engineering company most of you have never heard of called Caldera Engineering. And that's where we're going to begin. That's where we're going to begin. Actually, I want to say one more thing. Act like I have this dramatic intro. I just got to say one more thing about it. In the comments while I was waiting to go live, someone told me, if I can find those comments, there's a zillion already. Someone told me that they had identified through sleuthing somebody I was asking about last week. The guy with the ponytail, darker skinned fella, had the hat, the lanyard, the camera. Very, could just be normal reporter behavior, but to me it looked pretty weird. I want you to send that if you can to, oh man, I'm going to regret this, to Baron@BaronColeman.com. BARO, Baron@BaronColeman.com. If you send it there, I will get it. I have someone who monitors that email account. Don't spam it. Don't add it to some stupid list. But I want to mention it. And yeah, someone said here that Candace covered Caldera. That's where I first heard it. I fell into Caldera hole today. Now, that's a funny comment. That's a funny comment because the Caldera is, has a hole. All right, let me get into this real quick, and then I'll go over some of your comments later. Someone was asking, can you send me money? No, don't. It's not worth it. No reason to. I have a good job. I do this for fun. Let me see here. Where do I start? We'll start at Caldera. Let me open this to show you. So Caldera Engineering, for those that don't know, in Orem, Utah, there's a company headquartered there called Caldera Engineering. Again, I make no claim that anyone is associated with anyone or anyone's guilty or anyone has anything. All I'm doing is bringing to the surface as many leads as I can. Now, some of those leads seem to be patterns. I always tell people once is a random occurrence, twice is a coincidence, 3 times is a pattern. No, I think we're like 273 times a pattern. But whatever. They make vows. Someone hears them. They make vows. I'll give you that. Here is a search Available on Google Trends today. I had to because of Candace's cover. She's so popular that when you include any dates that she's covered something, it just ruins the search results. So I had to actually do a custom timeline here. But this is Caldera Engineering. Someone with an IP address originating with an Israel IP address, and we've talked about all the different ways that can happen. Go back and watch old shows. This is not me saying BB is locked up in whatever presidential or prime minister palace they use over there, and he's personally. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's the IDF. I'm not saying it's the Mossad. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying somebody used an IP address, and you'll notice the dates. This is becoming a pattern: July 21 and July 23 of this year. Now you'll remember if you go back to last week and watch, and a lot of you have. That's why you're here tonight. If you go back to last week and watch, you will remember that I used the date July 20 as an anchor date. And I said, watch this date. Something happened in the week leading up to, in the week leading out of July 20th, that so many people took an interest, particularly overseas. So many people, particularly with IP addresses originating overseas. So many people took an interest in events in Orem, Utah, on IP addresses originating in Israel. And they did so on July, let's call it 14th to 28th, a week on either side of July 20th. I don't know. Look, I am not drawing conclusions. That's not what I do. I don't intend to draw conclusions. Boy, there's some good questions in the comment. I'm going to get to some of these questions. Wow. There's some good questions. But I would add this to frankly, the list of surgeons. Go back last week, create a compilation. You can add this to the list of surgeons who were being searched in that same time limit. Caldera Engineering has 2 locations. Neither are in the Middle East. One is in Orem, Utah. I think that's their headquarters. I think that's where they make most of their stuff. And the other one's like on the western coast of Australia. And I don't want to go through the whole connection to Caldera Engineering. I actually have a Twitter post, I think, that I have here. That kind of... Yeah. So I think the person, and I may be getting this wrong, let's just count this as opinion. I think the person who originally turned over the video to TMZ of the alleged shooter walking up and down the street, I think that person and many of the people in that neighborhood may have worked for Caldera Engineering. And there's some weirdness that these are other people covering this. Don't come to me looking for this. I am not a one shop fit all. There's a solo job over here. Not a one size fits all type deal. But I think a lot of those people, I'm looking at MJ Truth Ultra. She is showing a clip from Candace's show on YouTube and Rumble. So you can go and find that if you're curious about it. If you search up Caldera Engineering and MJ Truth Ultra or Candace, you'll find it. But I just wanted to show you, I've gotten so many requests. That has really become a hot topic. And when I did it and I found that it was that same date, I just thought, oh my gosh. So I press on. I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else to do at this point. I don't want to live in a world where these facts are known by somebody, me, some other podcaster, some YouTuber, and nobody does anything about it. I don't live in that world. I want to go to the Schaefer, no, not Schaefer Security. Rock House Integrity Group. This was the second most common request I got. Rock House Integrity. This was a search, again, in Israel, past 12 months, for the last week of January or the first week of February. Now, let me say this. I put it up because I've gotten so many requests on it. But I think one of the marks of a good investigator or a good reporter or a good journalist or a good podcaster or a good just person to talk to, one of the remarks is you look at something and you think, is there anything not suspicious that could explain this? And there's a lot of stuff I've covered that I wonder about the not suspicious part. But this one's not hard for me. Charlie Kirk has done events all over the country. I believe he's done events overseas. He was being invited to Israel, according to the current prime minister over there. He was being invited to Israel. Probably wouldn't shock me if during the course of those discussions about him going over there, if he didn't say, hey, you got to talk to my security team. I mean, that's like obvious number one. Now, it could be any other thing. It could be a million other things. It could be that somebody was like, looking up something, terrible. It could be that, like I said in past episodes, somebody using a VPN. The VPN thing is probably the one that the skeptics key in on the most, and here's what I say about that. Even if it's a VPN, these are searches that need to be investigated. The FBI, the Utah police, somebody needs to be looking into these searches, even if they're using a VPN, because there are too many searches within a very defined period of time. We're talking about planes that were in the sky doing suspicious things. We're talking about companies that witnesses work for. We're talking about the addresses where guns were left. The addresses next door where some of the neighbors said they think someone might have run in immediately after the shooting. We're talking about the Dairy Queen where old boy went allegedly immediately after the shooting. I mean, there are so many things. If you go back and watch the last 3 episodes, there are so many things that need to be looked at. Somebody needs to take an interest. Now, it is not up to the prosecutor to clear Tyler Robinson. How redneck is this? Somebody came to my house not terribly long ago and gave me water in a mason jar. This is not a local. I grew up around here in the Tennessee area. This is not a local. And they couldn't believe it. Did you drink water out of a mason? I said, shh, drink it. Shut up. Okay, let me get rid of that. So, I've heard this. I don't know if it's true. Did the Dairy Queen get torn apart? I'm not following this on a daily basis. I'm this is funny. No. Oh, let me see if I can find it. Somebody asked me a very specific question about whether they were doing a good job. They were trying to explain alternative explanations. And they were asking, could there be a reason these Google Trends are coming up with everyone's name? For example, could there be a web scraper or some sort of script that's being written that gathers information and it's just clicking off a bunch of names? I ran that by some of my techie nerd friends, and they said, yes, that's technically possible. And then someone gave me a very specific answer here. Let me see if I can find it. I don't know where I put it. Someone gave me a very specific, I can't find it, list of how that could happen, but I've hidden it from myself. But the short answer is, yes, it can happen, but it's highly unlikely. It's far more common for a web scraper to put some code out there that goes and pulls information that's already existing, rather than running searches that create information for one very simple reason, even though that might be very effective, for one simple reason. If you build a tool that hits Google too many times, Google will throttle you. They'll shut you down. You won't be able to use it. I'm surprised I haven't as many times as I've been using this trend tool. But maybe they can tell between organic and unorganic things. Or maybe they can tell. Okay, so we've done Caldera. This was a good question. Somebody asked, is there any United States Caldera? Yeah, there was. Here's one in the United States, same time frame, June 16th. So about a month before. Now, I couldn't figure out, if you'll look here, sometimes you'll find the sub-regions listed. I couldn't find any regions. That means it just wasn't researched that much here in the entire United States, which, considering they're headquartered here, is a little weird. Again, same time period. Just to let you know, I actually looked in Utah, which would make sense because they're based in Utah. And I looked specifically in the District of Columbia. Not enough going on in the District of Columbia. And finally, one of my favorite little hidden nooks of the Google Trends universe is Huntsville, Alabama, because there's a massive FBI headquarters there in Huntsville. So that kind of gives you a run of where Caldera is being researched. Somewhere in the United States in the summer. We don't know exactly where. There's just not enough information from which we can determine that. But also, we do know in Israel. Caldera Engineering was searched there in Israel in July. I think July 21 and 23. Let's go back and look at it. So, someone sent me a link to the Kansas clip. Okay. Now, where do I want to go next? This is a good one. Shortly before the shooting, there were a number of people who appeared to have inside information about it. How do we know? They talked to us about it on social media. They talked about it on Twitter. They talked about it on Instagram. They were doing what young teens and people in their early 20s without fully formed frontal cortices do. They just blab. They just say stuff. They know a secret. They can't keep it. Most people can't. Don't tell people secrets. One of those was a guy named... I can't think of his name. He went by Fujo Shinsel. I have his name somewhere. Skylar Webster is his alleged name. I didn't verify it. Again, living life on the edge here. I'm going by what internet reporting says. But here is a September 5th, 2025 tweet. You guys, I have something big coming soon. Just be sure you check the news. Then he quote tweets himself immediately after the Charlie Kirk assassination saying, well, that's that. In other words, that's the big news I was talking. He shows his disdain for humanity here. Another chud bites the dust. So, what do we know about this guy? Name's Skylar Webster. Don't know anything else about him. Don't know who he is. Don't even know if that's his real name. But I do know this. Fujo Shinsel, which is a weird word to search if you're asking me, was searched, believe it or not, overseas. It's August 12th. Less than a month before he put up his inside information. He was known to someone overseas. And I can't figure out any reason that would make sense. That is such a unique search term. I can't figure out any other reason why someone would want to know that. But again, I'm sure there's 1,000 reasons why. I leave that for you guys. I love being criticized. I do. I'm a lawyer by trade and training, so I like when people challenge me. I like when people push back. If you were only a lawyer for one side, the profession would be no fun. No fun at all. I've represented these criminals before. Not these criminals, but criminals. And I enjoy the give and take of a criminal trial. I hope Tyler Robinson is afforded adequate counsel. I hope he's afforded adequate counsel. Oh, I've got to go faster than this. I just realized how long I've been. It's been on a half hour already. Okay, I want to bring you to... Don't want to cover this yet. I think so. I think I want to cover this now. I want to bring you to a breaking story that at first people will say, this has nothing to do with the Charlie Kirk assassination. And it might not. I should have said so. The Charlie Kirk passing. And it might not. I am bringing every lead to the surface. And I'm doing it through analysis and common sense and logic. We showed a week or two ago, 3 weeks ago maybe, that someone in the same Middle Eastern country that keeps researching all this other stuff researched the exact microphone that Charlie Kirk was wearing. I'm not going down a conspiracy theory. I'm not going down a rabbit hole. I'm just bringing up one small side to it. Because I think it's important. I think it's important. I want to show you. I had to really dig into the data to find this. Over the weekend, or this week, last week, it was over the weekend. Accurate Energetic Systems. They make bombs. In McEwen, Tennessee. They were blown off the face of the earth. There's nothing left of the building. If you've seen the overhead footage, before and after, I mean, the building is completely gone. I have a news story about it. I can show you a picture. Let me see if I can find the picture. It's just incredible what happened to this place. I had a cool before and after, but maybe I'll just show you the after. Yeah, so this will give you an idea. Let me stop sharing this for just a second and switch over to this. This will give you an idea of how devastating this is here. You've just got to take a look at this devastation. Look at this. That was a building, a functioning factory that made bombs. There's nothing left of it. There's absolutely nothing left of it. Now, I will say this. A lot of people, I showed a few things on Twitter before, have started following my browsing account on Twitter. I don't use that account. I use that solely to nib around. I don't follow anybody on it. That is my defined stuff. In case I accidentally like something, I don't want to. But anyway, I'm alive. Here's what I found on Accurate Energetic Systems and some of their employees. And some of the products. So this is Accurate Energetic Systems. This was the North District. This is the North District of Israel. Israel has these different districts here. I had to drill down specifically to the North District. But I found in March and in April, they were looking up Accurate Energetic Systems. Now, let me tell you, they make bombs. They were going through a war. Maybe they were buying stuff from a little place in McEwen, Tennessee. I don't know. I don't know how all that works. I've never had to buy bombs before. But I thought it was enough. I thought, what else is out there? So I go to the District of Columbia. Why not? Now, again, this is a defense contractor. It would make sense that someone in the District of Columbia would be interested in Accurate Energetic Systems, who makes bombs, but you'll notice they were not interested in it before. They just gathered interest a month and a half ago. I thought, okay, this is a little interesting. Let me press on. Let me press on and see if I can make something of this, or if I can tease out something that's happening. I wonder who runs Accurate Energetic Systems. And let me say this. When I put these names up here, I am not suggesting these people are involved in any wrongdoing whatsoever. I'm just putting up the evidence to see if anyone else can run down anything else. I'm bringing things to the surface so that they can be evaluated. This is an international story. An American bomb manufacturer just got blown off the earth. So I'm bringing this up. I was able to figure out through some public filings that the registered agent was a woman named Kim Sonday, S-O-N-D-A-Y. And she's been the registered agent long enough, I thought perhaps she has an ownership stake. I learned it is a woman-owned business. I know how defense contracting works. I used to work for them. A woman-owned business allows you certain opportunities that being a male-owned business, for example, would not. There are set-asides for women-owned business. So it's advantageous to have a woman own the business, even if she doesn't run day-to-day operations. Even if you wanted to hire, say, somebody named John Sunday to run So I search for John Sunday because I find a news article where the governor of the great state of Tennessee has gone out to McEwen, Tennessee to meet with Kim and John Sunday at Accurate Energetic Systems just 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And so I look up John Sunday. And sure enough, August 21 and September 4, there were searches in the District of Columbia for John Sunday. Just a month and a few days before his plant explodes, and just a week to 2 weeks before Charlie Kirk loses his life in Utah. So I wonder what this company does. So I use my defense contracting background, and I go to usaspending.gov. I'll walk you through it, just so you know I'm not making stuff up. I go to usaspending.gov, and I find that for the last 33 transactions, they've been awarded about $10 million. This is not a massive organization. If you look at it on an annual basis, they only really started getting any decent money in the last couple of years. 2018, obviously 2021, things fell off the map, COVID and whatnot, and then it starts kicking back up. In the last few years, they've really started to get some actual money, 15, 19, 15 million, down to 10 last year, and nothing for fiscal year 2026 yet, which just started 11 days ago. 12 days ago. So I'm just showing you, I'm not just making stuff up as I go looking. So I'm thinking, okay, I know they get contracts, I know they do military work, I know they do explosives. What kind of work do they do? What specifically are they being tasked with doing? So, again, with my background, I know how to navigate these things. I go to the actual awards. And I find the actual awards. You can see them here. And you'll notice the tabs are purple for some of them because I've looked at them. This one caught my attention for a couple reasons. One, it's a small award, $440,000. Requirement is for miniaturized, extra small demolition charges, anti-personnel, extra small, to support special purpose missions. That's this in defense speak. Well, that caught my attention. I wonder when this was awarded. Is this an old contract or is this a new contract? This miniaturized, extra small demolition charge, anti-personnel, extra small. Well, I scroll and I find out that it was from May 1 of this year to August 25 of this year is when the contract ended, meaning they originated it on May 1. The product had to be delivered on or before August 25th. That's weird. Now, it's not so weird. But you'll notice that's a very tight timeline compared to some of these. Now, this one has a similar 3-month timeline. This is for TNT explosive charges, 100 pounds. Obviously, that wasn't used at a Charlie Kirk event. And I don't know that this other thing was used as a Charlie Kirk event. I have no idea. Why do I mention it? Because there's a lot of people now watching this program. Maybe you know things I don't. Maybe you could take this information and figure out if one of these contracts, or this contract, might have raised enough suspicion or necessitated a cleanup job in McEwen, Tennessee. Again, maybe not. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe it's on the up and up. Maybe the place just went boom. But I do know this. Ammunition plants don't typically go boom. They don't typically go boom. Because if they went boom very often, there wouldn't be any. They make bombs. They make explosives. If anyone on Earth should know how to make explosives without exploding, it's someone who makes explosives. And when just a few weeks ago you delivered this really weird requirement for miniaturized, extra small demolition charges, and I can assure you, we've gone back. We've done small, we've done large. I've not seen the extra small, except for that one. That was a new one. And you'll find, maybe I'll pull that one up, I actually went further and found some additional contracting documents on this. Let's see if I can pull it up. This actually bypassed the traditional contracting procedure. Let's see if I can find that. Where did I put it? It was done on an SAP, which is a little interesting. Well, I'll just show you what I'm looking at. So this is the contract document. This is the stuff where they fill everything out. This is the contract award. Here's the identifier. This was for a DoD, Department of the Navy, Surface Warfare Center in Crane. Crane is in Crane, Indiana. It's talking about Bloomington, not far from Bloomington. Went to the Engineering Logistics Office. Again, start date May 1, end date 25, and did not go through the normal process. So set aside used, simplified acquisition. I'm not sure exactly which tab it's on, but one of these lists it as a special acquisition, meaning it did not go through the normal process. again, it's possible this has nothing to do with Charlie Kirk. I raise it for one particular reason. I think there was something that happened that day, in my opinion, something that happened that day that probably was indicative, at least the way I look at it, that there was a lot of shirt movement. I watched a podcast. Piers Morgan had a podcast or a TV show, maybe. I'm not sure if he's on television or just on the internet. But he had a professional assassin on there. A trained killer, an American killer. And the guy said, I shot a lot of people in the neck. I've never seen a t-shirt move like that. It makes sense to me. I asked Brock. If someone gets shot in the neck, does their t-shirt move wildly? No. Now it's Brock. But it's Brock. It would make sense to me that something happened underneath his shirt, either with his necklace, which had, I think, 2 different charms on it. It had a cross, and it had a St. Michael's medal, what the news says, and the microphone. He had a portable microphone that was attached by magnet. Either one of those could have provided enough, if you watched a couple weeks ago, you saw my kind of grand theory, either one of those could have provided enough uplift that if a bullet missed, there would still be the sound of a bullet, and he would be stunned temporarily. And then he could be taken aside and finished off a la RFK, a la what they tried to do with Ronald Reagan. I think Ronald Reagan was shot as he was getting in the limousine. I think there's very good evidence for that. I think RFK was shot on the opposite side that Sirhan was, and I think there's very good evidence for that. I think RFK Jr. and others who have looked at the file believe what I believe about it. Now, it does seem like there's something energetic taking place under the... That's all I'm mentioning. And there's something energetic enough to throw the necklace many feet around his head. Guys, put a necklace on a mannequin and shoot it in the neck. Put a 30-inch necklace, it looks like about 30-inch necklace, and shoot it in the neck. Put a necklace on a deer. Shoot the deer. See if the necklace breaks and flies wildly off into the... It does not. I'll spoil the surprise. It does not. It does not. You've been gaslit and lied to every step of the way in this investigation. Why would you believe anyone at this point telling you, oh yeah, shirts all the time fly up when someone gets shot in the neck. Necklaces are known to just fly around the room when people... No, they're not. No, they're not. No, they're not. Okay, I want to go to something. Yeah, you guys are free to use that email address. I do have someone that checks that. Please only put tips in there. Like, actual tips. There are other people doing great work on this. Don't send me this stuff. Likewise, they probably don't want you sending them my stuff. I would guess. They'll see it. Maybe not. Send it to anyone. Send it to Cash. No, I'm just kidding. I want to raise something and show you a Google Trend search that caught my eye. Because there was so much weirdness, and I'm not suggesting this fella had any involvement whatsoever with the death of Charlie Kirk. But there is so much weirdness around the guy who ran in a primary against the governor out there in Utah. What's his name? Phil Lyman. What a weird story. I mean, the guy's everywhere. And there was somebody videoing that day. I've watched this video 100 times. I've downloaded it. I've uploaded it to editing software. Believe it or not, I have editing software. You guys see me come in off of... I don't use it for this program, obviously. But the guy who recorded the video appears to be on the Phil Lyman side of the Governor Spencer Cox-Phil Lyman debate, or the battle, or whatever it is. And they take a particular interest in the LGB, whatever it is up to now, DQIA plus 5735, whatever, MOUSE, whatever it's up to. They take a particular fascination, particularly with the furries. I hate the furries. And so I just wonder, who is this guy? I've seen the video, and a couple things in the video caught my eye, and I want to raise them to you and see if they catch your eye. Because everyone has seen this video. It was an hour-something long video. Frankly, it's provided so much good information. Yes, I did a Google Trend search for George Hodgson's Inn. I showed where he was being searched in Washington, D.C. in the days and weeks leading up to the shooting. You got to go back and watch the video. I'm not going after any family members, though. They're off limits to me. But the guy who recorded the hour-long video, he goes by Life is Driving on the internet, but his name is Adam Bartholomew. I'm not calling him shady. I'm not suggesting anything. I am suggesting that about the same time that everybody else was searching everybody else, somebody in Washington, D.C. had a very keen interest in Adam Bartholomew. And I'll tell you why this makes sense to me. going to assassinate a political figure in Orem, Utah. What would you love except on-the-ground eyes at all times, everywhere you need to know what's going on the ground in order to deploy your team at the last second? You can't deploy a team. Let's just assume there's a team, 2, 5, 10 people, maybe 20 people involved. Could be more. And you want to rush them into the field of battle. You want to have them up on rooftops and in the crowd and behind trees. This whole team, there's signals. You would need someone on the ground, live streaming the rooftops, where people are, what's safe, what's available, what's open. So the guy Life is Driving releases this video, and I'm going to play a very short clip out of this video, because it's what caught my eye, and I thought, well, that's weird. And I don't get the impression our friend at Life is Driving intended for anyone to hear this. I don't feel like he thought anyone was listening to this part of the conversation, or that anyone would ever see this video. So he's I don't know, what's the best way to do this? I'll tell you what. I'm going to share this screen. Tell me if you can hear this, because you may not be able to hear it, and that might ruin the whole thing. Tell me in the comments, can you hear this?
What's up, you guys? You guys decided to see Charlie Kirk? No. What are you doing here? Yeah. We don't really like the camera right here. Oh. We don't really like this one. Yeah. Somebody like the thanks, man. Yeah, I got it. You have some cheers in the backpack. Oh. You can say your shit. Throw it right here. This is your I got a router. Yeah, I'm streaming right now. That's the camera.
Okay, I want to pause it right there, because what he's doing, somebody approaches him while he's on this, I'm going to call it a mission, you know, whether it's a top secret mission or whether he's just there out of the goodness of his heart recording all the rooftops in the area, because that's all he focuses on, by the way. If you watch the whole video, all he focuses on is the rooftop. I've never, if he's a photographer, I've never seen a way. Never in my life have I seen somebody do a poorer job of capturing an event. It would be like you take a family picture and everything from here down is cut off. Well, I got the kids. I've got 8 kids. I got the kids. I've got the wife. Maybe we got some grandparents. I got the dog. We're all in the picture. And whoever taking the picture is only getting like 3 heads. And everything else is cut off. That's the quality of job this guy did. So let me continue. Do you hear? I'm told the audience in the comments, I'm told the audio is pretty good. Do you hear what he's saying? Though what he's saying is somebody comes up and is like, hey, what is this? And you can tell he's not into answering these questions. But he's like, it's a Logitech camera. Oh, really? What's this setup in the backpack? I got a router. Oh, so you're streaming? Streaming and storing at the same time. This was streaming at the same time. Let me clarify that for you, if you missed it. While this guy is wandering around Utah Valley University, and I'll just pick random spots, only looking at rooftops, looking down at the particular area of the crowd, by the way, that a famous podcaster, Candace, asked about. Maybe she's onto something. Looking at rooftops, making sure all the landmarks, and I'll tell you why this tree is important in a second. Wandering around, again, looking at rooftops. Have you ever seen a worse job recording an event? And not only that, at the end of it, everyone's getting kicked off campus. Does that building look familiar to you? Everyone's getting kicked off campus. You can hear the police in the background. You guys got to get the hell out of here. For some reason, keep in mind, no one on Earth knows where the shot came from. No one on Earth knows what the escape path was. But for some reason, this guy is fascinated with this corner of the building. You can see this little divot right here. See that right there? That's where the alleged shooter jumped off the building. Why is this guy so fascinated? Watch this. I'll let it roll. He wanders up here. Everyone's kicked off campus. The event is over. He's not talking to anyone. He's just wandering around by himself. What is he looking at? Why is he doing this? That is the most suspicious thing I've ever seen. He just posts up as if somebody's in his ear saying, hey, when the guy jumped, he might have dropped a screwdriver or something. Can you go back and look and see if there's anything there? Just set your camera up at the corner right there, pal. Let's give it a good look. Let's give it a good look over. All right, are we seeing anything? Can you get a different angle here? Can you move? I mean, what the hell is going on? Yeah, people are commenting. You can see people up here. I think by now The police are making their way around, looking around. But this certainly was not publicly known at the time. Keep in mind, in this video, Charlie Kirk is shot at the 19-minute mark, and this is the 53-minute mark. So you're looking at 34 minutes ago. Yeah, odd as hell. The whole thing is odd. Now, when I saw this is what originally keyed me into. There's something weird about this video. This guy's not just wandering around documenting a Charlie Kirk event. That's what made me. Look at this. This is live. This is not a still image. This is still rolling. Look down here. Of all the places in Orem, Utah, this guy could have posted up. He goes to the spot where the guy allegedly drops down. And he just halted it. In other words, you guys have seen these three people over here. Is it possible? I mean, I'm just raising issues here. I'm not accusing him of anything. But is it possible someone wants to recapture something from this area? And they need eyes, they need visibility? Yeah, it's bad. Now wait, it gets worse. It gets worse. I'm going to have to stop it because I don't want to sit here for as long as he sits on this random building. I'll tell you what else he does. Actually, I am going to sit here. After he leaves the building, look what he does. Now you guys have seen this picture because as soon as they released the image of the alleged shooter running through the parking lot, everybody wondered where was that camera. And so people left the next day or two. They went onto the campus of Utah Valley University, and they looked around to see what angle had that camera. Well, guess who knew ahead of time? Guess who was already looking for cameras? Watch. Watch this. Oh! We'll just stop and take it. Hey, look, he's looking at the guy's escape route. Why? Why? If there's nothing to this, why? Why? Exactly. This is a great point. What else did he do immediately after? He sat there, he went immediately down to the scene, posted up his camera over the scene while the SD cards were secured, while everybody... But look what he does! He posted up at the building. That's the camera right there. That captured the video you all saw of the guy scaling the Losi Center, dropping to the ground and running up. That's the camera right there. In other words, hey, Life is Driving, can you go get a glimpse of that building back there? I want to see what kind of cameras we're dealing with here. I don't know, man. I saw this video, and I thought, why is he, again, back at the Losi Center corner? He leaves there and goes back to this same corner. Back to the same corner. Now, if I'm Utah police, you think I want to talk to this guy? Damn right I do. You think I want to look at his phone records, his emails? You think I want to see what IP addresses were hitting this live stream that day? I was also told that this guy may have been one of the only live streams that was able to stay up that day. I have experience with this. I won't say from where, but I do know it's possible. Let me hit pause here because he's going to start talking. I do know it's possible that like say you go to an NFL game, you go down to the Titans, you go up to the Colts game, you go down to the Falcons, the LA Rams, whoever, and when you have an area that's only built for so much infrastructure, a lot of times the cell phone infrastructure cannot handle the additional traffic. Particularly, let's say on college campus, right? You got a small town. Normally, it's got 30 to 50,000 students in it. College game day rolls through, and you've got 150,000 extra people there. The cell phone infrastructure was not designed for that, so it collapses. What often happens is, when there's a special operation, they'll bring in particular towers or mobile units that allow certain emergency people or high-profile individuals to use that cell phone tower to bypass the regular one so that they can get emergency calls in. This is a very common thing. This actually just was talked about on the pipe bombing in D.C. They just talked about this on the pipe bombing in D.C. I can't remember the name of the company, but the girl who found the pipe bomb, miraculously, allegedly, worked for the company that deploys the routers that keep everything up and running when there's a crowd. And what's weird about that is, for some reason, all the data was corrupted. They can't remember who was where. So this guy, for some reason, is able to continue live streaming when everybody else collapses. In my experience, that means somebody identified you as someone who needs to live stream. That's my experience. That's my experience. Large crowds come in, and there were several thousand people on campus who aren't normally there. They're all trying to live stream because Charlie Kirk is there, and he's famous, and how many famous people go to Utah Valley University? Maybe a few here and there, but not many. He's a hero. They're all trying to live stream. They want their honey back home to see it, and they can't get a stream going. At some point, it all crashes. Not this guy. He's able to continue live streaming. He also is able to continue afterward retracing the damn steps of the alleged shooter. It's uncanny where he goes. gun off at the alleged yard next to the alleged chicken coop. I'm blanketing this thing in alleged. Guys, this is weird. Now, you want to know something weirder? This is the beginning. I started at the beginning. Watch what happens here. This guy is just sitting there again. If you're filming an event, is this the angle you want? Do you remember that image of all the shooting targets, that the sound from all the different cameras, and they all line up in one corner? Do you remember that image? I don't know that I'll be able to find it that fast. I don't know that I'll be able to find it that fast. If someone can find that link to it, put it in the chat, and I'll pull it up. This is what he's focused on, is that corner. Again, there's there's 6 or 8 different cameras that picked up sounds, and they've all, different people, shooting experts, people far smarter than I am, have looked and they said, hey, an average rifle, it goes about this fast. This is about, the duration, the perimeter of where that shot could have come from. And you line up 4, 5, 6 of these, and it triangulates to a particular point, and they all seem to come to a point right here in the corner. Now, that may not be it. It may not have anything to do with it. It may be a bad analysis, but that's where they all go, and that's where he opened the book. Let me turn the audio down. Go straight. Not that he. So then he goes, hold on. So then he goes walking around. He is hell-bent with focusing on these 2 trees. Between the Sorensen Center and the stage, there are 2 trees that hang over them, and he is geared in on them. And I'll tell you why here in a minute. Why I think he was. He's really focused, again, not eye level with these people where he can interview them. He's looking out at the rooftop. He's looking out over these people. You really got to watch this video with an eye on this. He wanders out here and he makes sure he's capturing these rooftops here. Again, these people are in the lower third. Nobody watching a live stream wants to see a bunch of building rooftops if they're trying to watch a live stream of the Charlie Kirk event. They want to see Charlie Kirk. They want to talk to people who are there to see Charlie Kirk. Look at that view. Look at that view. He wanders up here and he's just, of all damn things to look at, he's just pointing at 2 trees. And unless you think he's just swinging it around, watch this. I'll just let it roll a minute. He's just looking out over the crowd or looking at that rooftop. Is there somebody in that crowd he's trying to find or identify, or is he looking for law enforcement? I don't know. Now he's just looking at trees. And just looking at the trees while we walk. Up rooftops. Got to get the rooftop view in. Got to make sure nobody has any idea what's going on except, imagine you came upon this live stream. You're just trying to get an idea what's going on in Utah Valley, and here's a live stream with Charlie Kirk. You look at this and go, why is this guy only focusing on the roofs? What are you looking at? Watch this. He goes walking on. Look at that view. What's he looking at? He goes walking. I'm going to fast forward because I don't want to sit here and watch an hour of this. Now he just posts up behind some people. But there's 2 important things here. One is that rooftop here. The other is this tree. We'll talk about this tree in a minute. He guys, he's not talking to these people. He is just looking at the back of someone's neck. That's all he's doing, is looking at the back of these guys' neck. But he's got that rooftop and tree covered. Now he's back to the crowd. Why is he so interested in that half of the crowd? What's going on in that half of the crowd only that my guy is just fascinated with? Keep showing that bowl down there. Look, that's where I wanted to go. Guys, no one knows about the Losi Center yet. No one on earth knows the Losi Center even exists. Let's make sure we get a good image of the Losi Center first. What is he filming? Now look, he is just staring at this rooftop's going to be important in a minute. He goes and finds the shooter's perch before the shooter even exists. It's right here, by the way. He goes and finds this rooftop that he's just keyed in on as he's walking away from here to the Losi Center. We'll look at why he's keyed in on that rooftop in just a second. What is fascinating about that rooftop? Why am I looking at this rooftop? We're going to put all this together in a minute. Hope you've got a few minutes. Let's just stare down the Losi Center for a little bit. That way anybody watching a live stream knows where every single person is and that there's no law enforcement anywhere to be found. There's no law enforcement, there's no staff, there's no Kirk security up there. How do we know? This guy's live streaming. Why is he looking at the Losi Center? It's 200 yards away from Charlie Kirk. Charlie's nowhere to be found in this video right now. Nor is the stage, nor are people he's interviewing. He's talking to no one. He's just wandering around surveilling rooftops. happen to correspond with where people will shoot and escape from. Look at that. Like, guys, this is the alleged shooter perch right here. See this little nodule? That's how you can tell where it was. This is it right here. If you didn't know from the news, all you had to do was watch this video. So what I did was, at this point, I'm watching this video, and I'm thinking, all right. It's clear he was keying in on specific areas that made the news: the low-C center front, the low-C center back, the camera footage, the parking lot where he escaped, the walkway where he crossed the street. It's clear to me that this guy was keying in on all those locations. What else was he fascinated with? And that's where I started digging in a little further. More low-C center footage for God knows what reason. More turning around. Now we're looking here, real keyed in here. Now I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think this is the building where Phil Lyman said he was immediately before the shot was fired, or while the shot was fired. I think it was this building. I could be wrong, don't hold me to that, but I'm pretty sure this is the building. Now, if you're live streaming the video and you're trying to give a viewer at home an idea of what's going on the ground, are you going to make sure all the people take up no more than 5% of the lower part? I mean, if you put a Chiron on this thing, the whole crowd disappears. No. I probably wouldn't be looking at the rooftop behind the damn crowd. That's probably me, though. I'm a different kind of live stream. Fascinated with the trees again. Look at that. Look at this perch he's got here. That's weird. That's a weird perch. Kind of down, away from the crowd a little bit. Nestled up next to this tree. Just staring at the stage from that angle. I mean, honest to God. You're watching a live stream. Well, let's just think counterfactually. If you're trying to spot a place for a shooter to take a crack, might you take this angle? Might that be a place you would like key in for just a second? I don't know. I'm old school. So he walks, again, fascinated with these trees. Can't figure out the fascination with the trees. Not looking at a single soul. Just looking at rooftops and trees while we walk. Not looking at a single... Look, now we just posted up next to a tree. Make sure to get the banner name in there so you know, so anyone watching knows exactly which banner you're next to. Every banner says something different, by the way. Now we got that cleared up, so we're going to move down here a little bit. Still focused on the tree. Now we're looking in the windows. Do we see any law enforcement anywhere? Is there anybody on these roofs? Well, now what? I mean, my God, look at that angle. But why are you so concerned with that roof? That's behind Kirk. Well, let's just say for the sake of argument, if somebody was standing on that roof, if there was a Charlie Kirk security guard right here, you know what he has? He has full visibility from the library 400 yards to the left, to the Losi Center, to the top of the Sorensen building, across to the top of the administrative building where all of the shop designs allegedly lined up. Whoa, has he really? You are kidding me. It was on there today. He's deleted it as of tonight while we're talking about it. It was on there today. I watched it on YouTube and Twitter. The reason I'm showing you the Twitter video is the YouTube compression took out a couple of key details I want to show. I hope it stays up long enough to show you these key details. Just looking at there, making sure, oh yeah, anybody watching would know where, there's no law enforcement on any rooftops. And you don't have to walk around and say, now look at this view here. Again, where did a lot of people in the crowd think a gunshot might have come from? Where did all the resolutions come from, where all the concentric circles lined up? They all lined up in this corner back here. You can't even see Charlie Kirk's tent from right here. It's blocked. You can't see the crowd from right here. They take up the lower 15% of the screen, but we can pause right here, and we can look under what's going on under here. We can look at that rooftop, make sure there's no people up there. We can look at these offices, make sure there's no people up there. Yep, all clear here, no law enforcement here, no law enforcement up here. Yep, got an idea. Okay, got a visual. Thanks, bud. You can move. Appreciate that. Appreciate you stopping every 30 seconds to surveil rooftops for no reason. Appreciate that. That makes a lot of sense. That's perfectly normal. Perfectly normal. Yep, now we're going to wander over here. Now, when he pops here, I couldn't for the life of me figure this out. Now, this is supposedly a conservative. He's at a Charlie Kirk event. Charlie Kirk is actually talking in the next couple of minutes. This is at 10:22 on the video. I think Charlie Kirk is the gunshot is heard at 1907 or 1908, something like that. So we're like inside of 9 minutes that Charlie Kirk has left on in this mortal plane. And stops here, again, just to look at this rooftop. And if you think about it, if there is a shooter on the Losi Center roof, you would want to make sure there's no Utah Valley University police, no state police, no Charlie Kirk security team. You would want to make sure that rooftop's clear. I get it. Like, we're about to, in the next 9 minutes, have somebody crawl up there, and we don't want him spotted. That would ruin the effect. So I understand it. And I understand why you would have to live stream it. Okay, the video's still up on YouTube. I'm glad, because if he takes it down, that looks terrible. At this point, leave it up. If Robinson's the patsy, he's going to prison anyway. No one's going to look at this. All right. So we get this little view here of the roof for whatever reason. Again, just more rooftops. More rooftops. Charlie Kirk might be in the building, but we're just going to look at rooftops. Okay. He keys in on this group, and he will talk to this group for the remainder of Charlie Kirk's life. I thought that was strange. Why? Guys, these guys aren't that smart. No offense to any people. I mean, you look fine. You look like normal middle-class Americans, but they're kind of amateur conversationalists. They're not real bright. That girl is not with them. There's several people who were in the scene when he shows up at the 10-minute mark, 10:30 mark, and they all disappear. Like, they skedaddle. That could be they just don't pay camera. But watch this. So these are the four he talks to. This guy here, I'll call him Fluffy. Sharpie, I'll call him Earring here. He's got some kind of earring on. And then I'll call this guy Tall over here. So Fluffy, Sharpie, Earring, and Tall. He focuses on these four. But what is he really looking at? What's he really looking at here? Now keep in mind, while he was walking over there, he made sure the Losi Center was uncovered and no one was there, and they weren't. Then he walks and he looks at the three roofs that focus on this roof right here. I don't want anyone to think I'm doing this and profiting off of it. I don't care. I do this for me. I'm having fun. So he's looking at this rooftop. We're just going here, still looking at the rooftop, still looking at the rooftop, still looking at the rooftop. Notice he's allegedly interviewing these guys, but they take up no more than 40% of the screen. The vast majority of the screen is the building behind here. And this is going to be important just a second. Focus is over here for just a second. Back to these guys. Back to these guys. We're at 14 minutes. He's asking them questions. Trust me, nothing they're saying is important at this point. I'm just getting forward to where the shot is, because he's focusing on this back part of this building. Now, I want to put this in context of what the Utah Valley campus looks like. So let me bring up a map here real quick, because I think context is very, very important here. I got to stop this screen, and I got to bring up this screen here. So here's our guy. He's right here. In fact, he's exactly right here, where this meter thing is. This is where he is. I'm assuming you guys are watching this. Yeah. He's right here where this meter thing is. I've spoiled the surprise. Something's going to come from right here, and you're going to see it. How do I know? Because you're going to watch it go right through that tree. Now, that angle is a pretty good angle to shoot somebody in the side of the neck and make contact with their spine. Pretty good angle for that. It's also a good angle if you wanted a bullet to enter the neck and go down into the chest cavity and not blow out the back of the head. So, hey, that's not a bad place to fire this shot. But my guy's over here. Our video guy's over here, like where the little 4 is on this thing. And he's fascinated, right now, he's fascinated with this. This is all you can see, is all this right here. All this area here. This roof. What is this building? This is a parking garage. If you wanted to, say, shoot someone and drive away, you would park here. You would walk along here. You might belly crawl or something over here. But you would need somebody to scout these buildings and make sure no one's standing on them. Because if no one's standing on these buildings, and this guy is spotting for this guy, to make sure nobody comes out and sees him, you've got a spotter over here on a live stream, looking back this way, making sure this building and these buildings remain uncovered, and you've got a spotter sitting right here. This is the alleged shooter's perch that we're told Tyler James Robinson took the shot from the Losi Center. I'm going to contend that was a spotter perch, and that no shot was fired at all. I could go into the why, you can trust me, because I know what the hell I'm talking about, but I'm telling you right now, that's a spotter perch. Was that person involved? Yes. Did that person want to be seen? No. Was that person armed? No. That person was spotting for the real shooter, who I believe was right here. Right here. I believe I can prove it just a moment. But if I wanted to fire a shot, I would need to make sure nobody saw me skedaddling back to my vessel. My vehicle. Oh yeah, we use the word vehicle in this game. My vehicle. While I retrieved my vehicle, I would need someone to cause an area destruction. Enter George Zinn. George Hodgson Zinn, who researched in the Washington, D.C. area in the days, weeks, and months leading up to this, who allegedly told medical personnel that he was paid to do what he did. I would need somebody immediately after the gunshot was from here to draw attention down to here in this area, because if a gunshot was fired from here and all this echoey, soundy goodness was going on, someone might believe that the gunshot actually came from this area down here where George Zinn was standing around. And these people on this balcony might believe it came from right over their left shoulder. And these people milling around here, they don't know which way that gunshot came from. We're going to tell them it came from back here. We're going to put about $1 trillion worth of media advertising telling everyone it came from right here. I think it came from right here, and I'm about to prove it. I think I'm about to prove it. I hope you'll bear with me. Let me stop sharing the screen. Go back to the video. So now it makes sense why these guys are merely the lower third of the screen, and the top 2/3 of the screen is the ingress and egress of the alleged shooter. Right? Again, the parking garage, this side over here on your screen. I think I'm pointing the right way. That way, the parking garage. See this girl with the orange? I don't know which way I'm pointing. This girl with the orange, the parking garage is to that side of the building. See this guy in the green? Charlie Kirk is to that side of the building. But if you need to ingress from the parking garage to your shooter perch, which is over here to the right of Tall, and you need to egress back to Orange Lady and beyond, we're going to get to this. We're going to get to this. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Again, you get a whole seat to listen to this program. You only need the edge. Only need the edge. So let me go forward. We're at 15:10. I will hop forward about 30 seconds at a time. This guy, I can assure you, cares nothing about what these gentlemen are saying. He's talking to him about right to life. He's talking to him about immigration issues. All he wants is a view of the roof. That's it. All he wants is a view of the roof. How do I know? Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Oh, notice he shifted. He was looking at this half of the roof over here. Now we're looking more towards the shooter perch. The alleged shooter perch. We're at 1825. Charlie Kirk has less than a minute to live on this before he is sprung from this mortal coil. This guy is talking to, I don't know, guy hadn't bathed in weeks. Tall guy with no affect. A weird guy with an earring. Now we're focused on the perch, the shooter's perch. This is going to be hard to see because I'm not going to be able to zoom it, but I want you to focus. See this woman or man right here? I'm not sure which it is. See this? There's a series of branches right above this person's head. That's going to become very, very important. Very, very important. And I will contend, and I will be able to prove it, that those branches right here, you can kind of see it behind the trees. You can download the video and go look at it yourself. That corresponds, this area of the tree right here corresponds to the rooftop, which is right here. You're looking from here through this tree, and that's the straight edge you see in that video, is this rooftop area right here. You'll remember early on in the Life is Driving video, he stops right there and focuses on the tent. You remember that? It's like 2-3 minutes in. He's walking around and for some reason throws down his tripod and holds a steady view from that tree. And it's this tree right here. This is the tree where he stops. You remember that, right? Again, spotter here, spotter here. All of this is naked. And these two guys on either side of the shooter are making sure it stays that way while our shooter ingresses and egresses from the parking garage. So let me get back to the video. Very important. I hope you guys are able to see what I'm about to show you, because to me, it's the case. Get back to the video. We're at 1856. At this point, Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to play this many, many times. At this point, Charlie Kirk has 11 seconds left on the serve, maybe 12. All right, we're at 5 seconds. So I'm going to keep I'm going to turn the music back up, actually, the volume back up. I'm going to change the video speed to 1/4 speed. And I'll play it at different speeds, but I'm playing it at 1/4 speed so you can see. Do you see the cursor right here? I need you to focus right here with all your might. Everything you have. I need you to look in this area right here. I cannot leave the cursor there and start it. I have to move the cursor to start it. But put your finger on the screen just below that cursor. Just right above that cursor, that little dark hollow spot, watch it.
It's just there's some so together like we had it position.
Did you see it? It just happened. Right before I hit pause, did you see it? I saw it. I'll play it again. Did you see it? The sound has not yet made it to the screen. No, damn it. I'm going to play it again. You gotta focus on this one spot. You gotta focus. All right, again, here is where you're looking. Right here. I'm playing it again super slow. Maybe if I play it fast, it'll jump out at you more. You're looking for a flash of light, a streak of light right here. Watch this hole. See this dark hollow? Watch this and either side of it. That little spot right there. Do not take your eyes off of it.
So together like we had it position.
Boom. There it was. All right, I'm going to go fast. I'm going to go fast and slow. So let me go to one. I'm telling you it's here. If you put it into software and slow it down and go frame by frame, you can see it a little better, but I'm not going to do that tonight. But I am going to go, I'll go fast. I'll start about 15 seconds before. Let's do 7 seconds, 8 seconds before. This guy's going to move his head, earring. He's going to move his head. Behind his head is a tree, and behind that tree is the roof line of that building. Now, it is not, before you guys question me, it is not in line with the LOSA symbol, proving that guy did not take a shot. Not in line with the LOSA symbol. But I want you to watch this again.
I see the get closer. They like restricting guys from here. It's just there's so before we got a flag and we had it to a position above his head.
Did you see it? I'm gonna play it again. I'm gonna go over and over and over it. So I'll give you some things to look for. Flag guy, he says it has some kind of flag. At that point, there's a bug that flies over his head. As soon as that bug crosses this tree right here, that's when it's gonna happen. It's right in this room right here. And it may be that you guys are not gonna see it because this is rendered through StreamYard and rendered through YouTube or YouTube also. So you're getting second or third hand. You might have to go directly to the X feed. Oh, you know what? I have it on my phone. I'll just hold my phone up to the screen. Hold on. Watch it one more time in real speed. Right. Right here. Right here. There it was. Did you see it? I've got a slow-mo of it on my phone. Let me pull it up, see if I can do that. Is that gonna work? Oh, I think I already did. I'm telling you where to look. I'm telling you to go look at it. The Life is Driving. I'll drop it in the comments real quick, the link. I think this thing blows the whole thing wide open. I think I'm right about, and so truthfully, what drew me to it was the realization this guy's a scout. He may not even know he was a scout. I don't know. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. But perhaps someone was in his ear saying, move down a little bit, lift your screen. I don't know. But I'll say this. If you look at his YouTube channel, he clearly is adverse to Spencer Cox, the governor of Utah, on the same things that Phil Lyman is adverse to the governor of Utah, Spencer Cox. And I'm telling you right now, if you look at that video, in that location, you see muzzle flash. You see muzzle flash. I can't make it any bigger, I don't think. I'll try. I can't make it any bigger than that. Maybe I'll try. But then I'll show you in a second why I know that that is a straight line. Let me try it one more time here. I'm going to try one more time. I've tried, that was fun. Let me do it at half speed. Half speed. Watch right here. It goes from this way to this way. It is a flash of light. Very faint because it's through trees. Did you see it? It was right there. I will drop the link in the comments. So Life is Driving. He has it. He has this, and oh, I don't want to drop that. I don't want to wait for the link. I don't need $10 in that. he has this and why can't I comment on that? I'll drop it in the description. I'll go to the description and drop it. Or you can look up Life is Driving. X.com/Life is Driving. That's it. X.com/Life is Driving. Again, I am not saying this guy's in on a murder. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if I needed somebody to scout a location in real time while I was committing a high-profile murder, I'd send this guy. He's great at it. He's fantastic. He's amazing. It is at 1907. And someone said he moved before the gunshot hit. I saw that in the comments. Yes, because the audio's not sync. The audio's off about half a second, which screws with all of the, and it's almost like, was that on purpose? It screws with all the distance stuff. You can't tell the distance because of it. Do one more time at half speed. Here is where you are looking. You see this dark nookie right here, right there. It's a faint light. It is a muzzle flash going from like the corner of his hair across. If it kept going, it would hit the top of this woman's head. Like from the corner of his hair to her head, but it doesn't go that far. It only goes right here in this little hollow of the tree. Right there. But it corresponds with that edge. Here it is at 50% speed. We'll start at 1905. 2 seconds in, it's going to hit.
You already had a flag and you had it, so it's positioned above.
Did you catch it? If not, just find it. I promise you, when you see it, you'll understand why he was so focused on the rooftops. You'll understand why he was so focused on the tree. You'll understand why he was so focused on that ledge. And you might understand why certain people were in that building at that time. What is this? I am concerned about your safety. I hope you have protection. The Catholic, we're not allowed to wear that. Please make sure your information is spread to multiple people. Make sure you mention that in your videos, please. Hey, guys. Think about the size of the distribution of the people who are covering this. And go back and look at my subscriber base. It's not the same. Some of these people have 1 million views. Some of these people have 1 million views. Oh, before I forget, we're what, an hour and a half in? I gotta cover this. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm sure you've done too. Now, I will say this. It is more difficult to pick up in the YouTube video that Life is Driving linked to, as opposed to the X video that he posted. And here's why I think that is, and here's why you may not be picking up on it in my stream. Because the YouTube stream affects video. Believe it or not, it's a video service, but it affects video. And so X might be delivering a cleaner video to me, but by the time I run it through StreamYard and run it again through YouTube, and then you guys run it through your monitors, you may not be able to pick it up. I'm telling you. You gotta look closer. You gotta look closer. I'm telling you right here where to look. Right there. It is in this area where, you guys can't see it. Here we go. It is right here. Right there. Use his X feed. It is right there. You will spot it. I watched the original and I saw it. And you believe? See it clear as day in the original video. I didn't know that. Or did I know that? Did I cover that last week? 2 weeks ago? Okay. I want to cover one more thing here real quick. Because we've got to solve this Patsy dilemma. And I will say, I was told that Tyler Robinson would be convicted. Now, I'm not saying somebody like on the defense team or anything. Someone in the comments mentioned who his lawyers were and that they had also been searched, maybe, in Google Trends. Now, the question would be, were they searched before they were known to be hired? Meaning weeks ahead of time. In other words, if I'm Tyler Robinson and I get assigned lawyers or I hire lawyers, and then I later find out these people were being searched in D.C. and overseas in July, hang it up. You're toast. You're toast. So but why do people become patsies? I want to draw your attention to the story. This is an interesting story. There was a guy named Ian Watkins. Ian Watkins. Back about 13 years ago, 12, 13 years ago, he was convicted. He was convicted of pedophilia and child pornography. His ex, who helped convict him, was shocked he wasn't murdered sooner. Why? Guys, we all know the trope. If you go to prison for child abuse, what happens to you? They don't like those types. They beat them up. They kill them. And it turns out it's pretty true. It turns out it's pretty true. Which is why, if you are into illegal things, kids, looking at kids, if you are inclined to like those kinds of things and you get caught, you would make a great patsy. Why? Because otherwise you're going to end up with your throat slit, which is what happened to this guy. He was fatally slashed in the throat where he was serving 29 years. If you read the story, he was regularly beaten. He had a horrific life in prison. Hey, don't diddle kids, right? I mean, I don't feel bad for the guy. But I'm telling you, if you know you diddle kids, or if your roommate's a furry, and let's just be honest here for just a second. If your roommate's a furry and transitioning from man to woman, you probably have a substantially higher likelihood of having viewed illegal content on a computer than Dr. Smith, the cardiologist at Vanderbilt, right? I mean, are there doctors who, yeah, sure. But Dr. Smith, he's a good Episcopalian. He's got 2.7 kids. He drives a Beamer. He's got a lot to lose. Even if he's weird, he might not act on it. But this guy, he's 22 and he's allegedly transitioning to be a woman. He's got nothing to lose. Statistically, he's a suicide waiting to happen. Like, this guy's on the edge, man. If he had a proclivity, or if the guy he was living with had some weird proclivity, imagine how this conversation goes, and then I'll tell you a story in a second. You get a phone call one day. It's your lovable, friendly FBI agent. Mr. Smith? I just used Smith. Mr. Edwards? Yeah, this is Edwards. I didn't talk to you. This is FBI agent, child sex stinger. And caught you online looking at kids. And then we searched your stuff, and it looks like you might have diddled some kids, or at least approached them for a good diddle. You mind coming talking to us? Guess what you are? You're a prime patsy. Huh? How would this, imagine this conversation. You could go to prison. I mean, we'll book you in today. We'll be happy to put you in prison. We'll put you in with, this guy. Yeah, we'll put you in with this guy. He'd make a great room. Oh, no, we can't put you in with him. He just got his throat slashed after suffering decades of beatings in prison for being a pedophile looking at little kids. Sorry, he wouldn't make a good roommate because he's dead. Why don't you put you in with the people who killed him? Wouldn't want that, would you? Maybe you could. Granddad have a gun by chance? Your granddad have a gun? Huh? Granddad have a gun? Oh, he does. A Mauser 98, huh? Hey, here's an address. Behind that house, you'll find some trees. There's a little chicken coop. Could you drop that gun off on this day, about this time? No questions asked. Don't you ever speak of this conversation again. I mean, I'm not saying that's what happened. This might be good fanfic. But come on. You don't think that's happened? And if it happened, guess who won't be mounting a vigorous defense? Guess who won't be reviewing Ryan Matta videos and Candace Owens videos? Guess who won't be looking at Outside the Overton? Guess who won't be looking at Zeb, whatever his name is, Boykin? Guess who won't be looking at this channel? Guess who won't be looking for investigative ideas? Guess who probably won't even question the defendants? I mean, the prosecution witnesses. Yeah, sorry, guys. Yeah, guess who's not going to be looking at Chris Martinson? This is possible. It's possible he was supposed to be killed in a firefight before they got him, or in a SWAT invasion, and some officer happened to pick up on who it was and thought, we gotta stop this. I don't know. I don't know. I just know that if I'm this guy, let's just think counterfactually. If I'm Tyler Robinson, and my roommate and I are into weird stuff, which, let's be honest, kind of looks like they are, just from the outside looking in. Maybe I don't want to go to prison for the weird stuff. Maybe I don't want to go to prison for the weird stuff. Phone call I got. I'll keep it brief because I don't want to breach privilege. Guy I've known a long time reaches out to me out of the blue and says, hey, call from the FBI. Can you call them back for me? Yeah, see, you know what they want? No, I don't know what they want. Well, let me just say, I think I saved my friends some problems. I think I saved them some problems. Misunderstanding, but misunderstandings sometimes go wrong, right? Yeah, they do. I think this is how people become patsies. I think this is how people become patsies. I don't. I just had someone text me asking for a particular search. I've done it. It's actually pulled up on my screen, but I'm not going to pull it back up. We're past that. We're past that. Guys, I think if I had to tell you what happened, my opinion, I think there were multiple things that happened that day. I think the person on the Losi Center roof did not have a gun. They were a spotter. They were a spotter for someone between the Losi Center and the Life is Driving guy who was videoing. They were both looking the same direction and both had clear angles of all the surrounding rooftops. I think there was going to be a single shot, and it wasn't going to be an easy escape because of where Kirk was positioned. No matter where a shot came from, it was going to be difficult to get out of there with a gun alive and not caught. And so you had to have a couple of things take place at the same time. One, you have to account for a miss. Now I know that, and I heard one former sniper talking about it. He said, "You give me a shot that close, and which nostril do you want it to go in?" Well, how about the left artery? If it's a trained shooter, the neck isn't a miss; it's a hit. If it's not a trained shooter, was he going for the head and had a little overpull? Was he going for the body and anticipated the kick? We don't know. If you go to the range very often, sometimes that first shot's a little wonky. But you have to have a backup plan. If you're going to take a shot at Charlie Kirk, you have to have a backup plan. There wasn't a sufficient backup plan in Butler, Pennsylvania, for example. And he didn't die. Had there been a backup plan, he wouldn't be with us today. He wouldn't be the 47th president of the United States. The backup plan could have been as easy as, let's put a small charge, a miniature charge, a extra small charge in a necklace or in a medal or in a microphone pack, something he's wearing on his chest, which as the gunshot goes off, everyone will hear the bang. You'll see the shirt expand. We'll push him to the ground. He'll be shocked and stunned. You can hit him with a squib. You can take a quick shot there if he's not already dead. Lots of things you can do behind that table. I didn't even go post-shot on this Life is Driving video. That's a whole other show. Where he goes post-shot, and notice how much time he spends around Phil Lyman, for example, how he goes and videos people giving interviews, how he goes and positions himself directly in front of or to the side of, so you can see what's going on behind the table where Kirk fell. A lot going on. So he's the video where the SD cards were removed. That's that video that I was just going through. You guys are looking at it. I don't think anyone anticipated this level of attention would be paid to this. I think they thought a day or two's news on some right-wing rags, maybe CNN and Fox pick it up for an hour. It's like a head coach getting fired of an NFL team. I mean, it just doesn't make the mainstream press. I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers have only had 3 head coaches since the 1960s, right? Starting with Chuck Noll. And Mike Tomlin's there now. If Mike Tomlin got fired, I mean, are they going to mention it on Fox and CNN? Maybe. For like 5 minutes. I think that's what they thought. And so they didn't think anyone was going to be tearing apart the Life is Driving video. I don't think they thought anybody was going to be tearing apart and uploading into video editing software, frame-by-frame analysis, doing crack thump analysis, crack bang analysis. I don't think they thought people were going to be zooming in and running AI programs through the things on the rooftop. I don't think they thought people were going to be doing analysis of all the concentric shooting circles from the different microphones and where they were picked up and how long it took from the crack to the thump and where they line up. I don't think anybody thought any of that was happening. I think they thought they could kill Charlie Kirk, and a day or two later, they'd be burying him, and his wife would be crying, and that'd be about it. I don't think they thought anybody was going to be looking at airplanes overhead and how fast they were going and how high they were going. I don't think they thought anybody was going to be looking at all the Google Trend searches, all the different names of the surgeons in the hospitals, and all the people that were available, and the people commenting online, and the administrators. I don't think they thought they were going to be looking into. I don't think they thought any of it. Guys, it's Utah Valley University. Do you know when the first time I heard of Utah Valley University was? Now, for those of you who live in Utah, this is going to shock you. September 10th. September 10th of this year was the very first time I've heard of Utah Valley University. And I'm sure it's a fine public institution. I've heard of Utah A&M, is that a school? Or Utah State, maybe? I've heard of the University of Utah, BYU. These are fine institutions in there in Utah. I'd never heard of Utah Valley. I looked it up. Great scores, good students, bright people. No one ever heard of it. What a great place to bury it. If you do it at the University of Alabama, or you do it at the University of Georgia, or you do it at Indiana University, or you do it at one of these major Power 5 universities that have 50, 60, 70,000, 80,000 students on campus, you run a real risk of having too many eyes looking around. You do it at Utah Valley University, and people, oh, Charlie Kirk got shot. Wow, that's weird. Did he survive? Oh, he didn't. Man, that's awful. Feel bad for his hit kids, didn't he? Oh, gosh, he did. That's too bad. I'll pray for him at church Sunday. Yeah, I'll pray for him at church Sunday. But I think that's all they thought was going to happen. I think that's all they thought was going to happen. And instead, you have tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people pouring over every sound, every face, every... Oh, speaking of, someone told me they sent the video, or the information about the guy that... Oh, I'm going to have a bunch of emails. Let's see if I can find it. I didn't get it. Maybe you misspelled Baron Coleman. Or maybe it went to my junk. Oh, it did. Sorry about that. Okay, so I have his name. That's weird. Let me see. Let me do a little search on this guy real quick while we'll do some real-time investigative journalism. Let's do some real-time investigative journalism on this name. I'm going to believe, for the sake of argument, that you are giving me the guy's correct name. Oh, are we going to have to show this one? This might be the show next week, how we open. What? You are kidding me. How would anyone have searched this guy? There he is. There he is. All right, we got a follow-up show. We just got the beginnings of a follow-up show scheduled. Someone was searching, if it is in fact Ponytail Guy, someone was searching him in August of 2025. 2 weeks before Charlie Kirk was liberated. All right, I'm not going to show you because I don't want to go back into it. I'm not going to throw a name up there without having looked at it. Oh, come on, don't be mad. Don't be mad. Who is Ponytail Guy? Let's see if I can show you real quick. Maybe I'll do this. Maybe this will satisfy my Cuban friend. Who is Ponytail Guy? Let me open this up, zoom out. I gotta be very careful here. I do not want to go past where the shooting is. I did this last week. I'm not going to do the whole video review this week of this. And please, if this accidentally goes too far, don't anyone tell anyone, and I'll get it taken down. This is Ponytail Guy right here. He is looking behind the stage with a fully pushed out camera. If you notice as we zoom forward, his lanyard is white. This is 25 seconds before Charlie Kirk his life is taken. He is looking behind the screen, that way, behind the stage, where the truck that will take him off, or the van that had the lid that came up and all that, that's where he's looking. Kirk is sitting there taking questions. He's paying no attention to Kirk. His lanyard is white. Watch as I roll forward. Whatever it is he sees back there, he sees. Now, I will zoom in on Ponytail real quick, because I think this is important. He has what appears to me to be an earpiece right there. But that could just be an earpiece. So he sees whatever he sees. He retracts his zoom lens. His lanyard is still white. We're at 2 seconds into the video. Now watch what happens. He leans in now. You see Ponytail Boy over here on the left. He leans in to make eye contact with someone under the tent. Not sure who. We lose sight of him for just a moment, and then the next time we see him, he is looking at our camera, or our direction. Now notice what he's going to do here with the lanyard. That lanyard turns from white to black while he is looking ahead. That does not look casual to me, my friends. That does not look accidental. That looks like a sign to me. To somebody. Don't know who. He's still looking this way. So again, I'll go back to the beginning here. He's zoomed in backstage. He looks and peeks under the tent, makes eye contact. He looks up at this camera and flips his lanyard from white to black. Charlie Kirk has 15 seconds left on Earth. He now looks back under the stage. Now he looks at the shot where I just said the shot might have come from. Watch how fast he turns his head here. If he's wearing an earpiece, and Charlie Kirk has 8 seconds left, there may be a countdown beginning to initiate here. And he might be thinking, is the shooter? I don't know. Look, I'm reading a lot into this. I'm reading a lot into this. But he jerks his head very quickly that way when no one else is looking that way. Charlie Kirk has 6 seconds left on this one. And then you scroll forward a little more. Now, 4 seconds left on Earth. For whatever reason, Turk is itching his eyes or his ears. Ponytail Boy now brings his camera up with 2 seconds to go in Kirk's life. And this is where Baseball Signal Boy drops the steel sign. That's Ponytail Boy. At least that's my Ponytail Boy. I don't know if that's everyone's Ponytail Boy. But if it's Ponytail Boy, I now have a name that I can begin searching. But I'm not going to put the name up on screen without looking at it. You think I'm a psycho? You think I'm a psycho? All right, guys, it's been an hour 57. I promised people in this house I wouldn't go longer than 2 hours. I got up early this morning. I got up early. We sometimes venture a pretty good ways away to go to Mass, and we did this morning. And it is causes you to wake up early. Folks, I hope you have a wonderful evening. I look forward to seeing you again. I do look forward to seeing you again. If you have any questions, you can bear to BaronColeman.com. Feel free to send it to me. Please don't flood me with junk. I'm worried about these things that I've talked about. That's it. I'm not worried about anything else. You're welcome, Fury. You're welcome. If you got a file, I'm willing to look at it. But, all right, we'll see you.
There's DIY, and there's doing it yourself. It's the difference between being creative and being a creator, between a homemade recipe and a household name, between a daydream and a dream job. It's your business, your hard work. You do it yourself. Create your website on Wix.
Now it's time for Lefties Losing It, and let's check in with CNN. They're trying hard to cope with the reality that the man they and the left has branded as some sort of modern-day Hitler is actually hugely popular in the only Jewish state. There are thank you messages on the beaches of Tel Aviv. There are thank you messages in the leading newspapers.